Welcome back to Weekly Sketchbook. I'm Tyler Curtis, recording as always with RC.Nelson. And on episode 3, we're talking about seeking discomfort as a creative. This conversation came out of some journaling and meditation that RC did. And we had this conversation after finishing the episode for next week. We decided it was so good that we're going to release it right away. Before we get into the episode, I just want to remind you to check out the great content we're putting over on our website at MattiBurns.com. That's MattiBurns.com. Also, give us a follow on Instagram at MattiBurns.studio, MattiBurns.studio. Now, let's get into seeking discomfort as a creative.
So lately, and the reason I'm so excited about sharing this is because because I don't want to come off like we are heady. Like I'm always trying. We're good. I don't want to come off like logical. Like,
right.
I want to bring emotion into this. I want to bring that's where people connect.
I'll be the logical one.
Yeah, exactly. So I could be whatever. You know, we're both wearing red today.
I noticed that. I almost said something too.
We're the red team. So this is a little heavy.
Okay.
But I want to read this.
Right.
It's not the stories that I've been writing or anything. Sometimes when I meditate, I get things, ideas pop in my head.
Yep.
I feel like when you quiet yourself, you become a receiver for the good stuff, for the unseen stuff.
Joe Rogan has a voice recorder in his sensory deprivation tank.
There you go.
Specifically for that.
Yeah. So I, been creating this mural, said, live beyond your imagination. Mm-hmm. You probably saw it on Instagram.
If you didn't, go check it out.
Yeah. And it's just the beginning of some big giant mural that I'm planning on posting throughout the year. And so it just is a good reminder to live beyond imagination. And what is beyond thinking? It's your imagination. What is beyond what your eyes see is your imagination, right? And that's where hope and belief and desires and good thoughts and bad thoughts, all this stuff, that's where all that comes from. And it's kind of the idea of when you go to sleep at night, your dreams, you dream from somewhere. Logically, you could say it's your brain kind of reordering itself with weird images and that kind of thing. But it could also be the island, like in Navrin, the kind of Captain Heinrich Lynchpin book we're writing, yep. It's this place where possibilities come true. Anyways, so I recognize a lot of patterns in conversations and talking with people and reading books and all this stuff. And one of the current patterns that I'm writing about is sorrow. And this could be a completely different podcast because this is the type of content that I want to put out, because this deals with creativity. This deals with expectations for yourself. People avoid pain. And I'm slowly discovering that I avoid pain. And I've been avoiding pain since 2000, probably my whole life, but specifically since 2012, because I went through a lot of pain and then I didn't want to ever go through that again. So I numbed myself and I pulled back from the world. And every time I'm around somebody, I tend to put up my guard. And so this is what is this cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually have a point I'll bring up when you're done with this.
Okay. So I don't know if I would call it a season, but there's a topic of discussion and meditation that I keep hearing and experiencing when I see patterns of truth in conversations with friends, and the restlessness in my spirit. I believe that it's God speaking. I believe that he's interceding, or he's like, there is something in the world that I'm starting to put patterns to and connect with. And a lot of people call it God. And so the idea is the evasion. Is that a word? Evasion? I mean, it is a word, but like, I like this, but it came out so naturally when I wrote it. I was like,
now you're thinking it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, I keep crossing it with the word invasion, but evasion of pain.
Yeah, that's right.
To avoid struggle and to escape the heavy sorrow in my heart. The spirit inside of me first brought it up as I searched my heart. And I've been trying to figure out why I'm not burdened by not succeeding in becoming. Oh, so one of the big things is that, and I got to be very careful of what I say here, but like, you know, we've been trying to get pregnant for a while, and it hasn't happened. And I don't want to sit on this topic for very long in case Amanda hears it and she's like, don't share that stuff. But even what I just said could get me in trouble regardless. But I just kind of take it as it comes, right? Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to figure out why it hasn't burdened me. And the idea is where I just take it passively, and I just wait for the good things to happen and just kind of avoid the bad. And it's something I desperately want. You know, I want to be a father. I want to be somebody who, all my friends have kids, you know, like I feel like I should have had kids 12 years ago, you know, like, and there's this window, and so I just kind of, I'm used to like being bullish. I'm used to like wanting something and just throwing everything I got into it. But I'm just kind of like hanging out, and I'm like, oh, it'll come when it comes. And I think it's based on the fact that I don't raise my hopes like I used to when I was in my 20s. Like, I don't raise my hopes to say, like, maybe I've gotten knocked down too many times, and I just kind of go, well, if it happens, it happens, you know? Mm-hmm. And really, like, that's the problem, is that when you don't raise your hopes, you don't exceed. You don't go above and beyond. You don't live beyond your imagination.
Right.
You know, if I was a runner or a boxer, I kind of pictured like Rocky. He would never get up after he's been knocked down if his hopes weren't raised, because he has determination. And so this passive aggressiveness has killed my determination. Not completely, but it's just kind of killed my determination a little bit. And so I've been meditating about it. And I feel like as a creative, without the desire to seek and go deeper, without the desire to want more, you're lukewarm. Yeah. As a writer, you're lukewarm. You have nothing, you don't have a voice. Mm-hmm. And so you as the audience listening, seek and dive deeper, because like, if you're just afraid and you avoid pain is what, like, I've been just kind of thinking about this. Pain makes you sharper. Pain like revitalizes you, and you get in this, oh shit mentality. Like, I got to get back in line. Or, you know, pain is something that
it defines purpose and value.
Sure.
So one thing that I went through like a year or two ago was struggling to figure out why my relationships, and this was all sorts of relationships, platonic or romantic, why they weren't essentially fulfilling. And what I discovered was it was because I was not allowing myself to attach to people. And I was essentially doing what you're saying, is I was keeping everything at arm's distance. And that it saved me from being hurt by anything that they did or could happen. But it also was limiting me in what I could experience. And so in my current relationship, it was the first time in a long time that I was like, as soon as I started to feel that attachment, instead of being like, okay, I'm going to pull back and run away, I was like, no, like if I feel something, that means purpose. If I feel something, that means love. And so I leaned into it. And now I've hurt myself a lot, but the relationship is better than any relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And so if you cry at the idea of losing somebody, that's pain, but that's also value. That means that there's value in them. You place value in them. And I was going to bring up David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. He always says, seek discomfort. And this goes for relationships. This goes for physical activity. This goes for creative work. Push yourself, get outside your limits, try something new. You know, if something makes you uncomfortable, find out why. Like lean into that discomfort and see what it does for you. I've had my best experiences in, you know, adventuring and exploring when I've pushed my body to new limits. You know, it's always, you start to see the world, like runners call it runner's high. You start to see the world in a new way. And so when you lean into that discomfort and that pain, that's when you really start to find value and find something worthwhile.
Yeah. I find this conversation way more valuable than the storyboard conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And this is the true heart of why I want to do this podcast.
Yep.
And who said that we can't use the storyboard conversation? But I mean, like, there's a lot of that out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could find out that information and it's just kind of fluff and talking about ourselves. But this is a condition that people go through. And like a lot of people, you know, like they just avoid pain.
Right.
And I know that maybe that's the thing that I've been struggling with this whole time. You know, like, even though like I set my life up for chaos, you know, running the studio and all that kind of stuff. But you can find comfort in that too.
Yep.
You know?
Well, one thing I've always said that all I want is for one thing that I write to make someone cry. That's always been a goal of mine. Mm-hmm. And I could never do that if that thing didn't also make me cry. Yeah. So if I started to like think about this story and I was like, no, that's too painful or that's too sad. If I started to run from how I felt about something, then I could never make anyone else feel that way. And so putting that true emotion, putting yourself and your emotions into your work, that's what allows other people to feel that emotion too. I always say you can't write something without experiencing it. And if you write a scene that gives you no emotion, it's not going to give the reader any emotion either. Yeah.
And I think that like that's the hardest part of songwriting. Like you can, if you're describing a mood, if you're describing a party anthem, this is we're graduating, this is like the best years of our lives, it's one thing. But when you're really trying to like connect with people emotionally, like, and be vulnerable,
yep,
like that's the best music. Like, and I think that if you do it poetically and you do it where people remember that chant or remember that phrase, you know, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so I like, that's my biggest struggle with, when I started writing a song the other night. And I've discovered that if I'm doing one thing, like, I don't know, washing the dishes, my creative energy just starts to go.
Yeah.
And like, I tend to, somebody who has ADHD, I tend to like have to distract myself while I'm doing something I don't want to do, like wash the dishes. So I will put my iPad on the windowsill and I'll watch a show. And then all of a sudden the dishes are done. And I'm like, cool, that was a great episode. But going back to like the pain aspect, and this works, but it doesn't work at the same time. But like the pain aspect of doing something that you might find out that your creative juices flow when you are doing that mindless work that you hate. And so
for me, like that's like not that I hate it, but driving is one of the things that driving, walking, riding a bike, anything that's like continuous.
Yeah.
If I let myself listen to a podcast or listen to music or whatever, that's going to be really easy. Like I'm absolutely I can do that walk, I can do the drive, and it'll make it easier to listen to those things. But if I have absolute silence and I make myself think and live in my thoughts, that makes that whatever I'm doing harder, but it also allows me to have that creative experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gonna share more?
Well, I want to.
Go for it.
I'm in the middle of writing that song that I was talking about. And like, I'm not just sharing this because I'm proud of it and I want to like
show it off.
But I haven't written a song in so long. Like I used to, I was telling you, I used to carry a journal with me. I just carried a journal with me the other night, and I had this beat that I was playing in my headphones, my earbuds, where I was just like, there was a season where I was like just making beats and playing guitar. And I wanted to, I have a problem with like loopable sample driven beats because it just, there's only so much you could do with it. After you've made over 100 beats, you end up like redoing it, like in the same format. So it's like, well, let's bring a bass line in. Let's, like do that kind of stuff. And so, I just like it. So it's me quiet, findings off my, let me start over. It's me quiet, findings off my fingertips as I grip the guitar neck instrument. It's intimate, intimidating, most vulnerable, with good intent, but most don't guard their soul. The sound, scaly like a devil's grip, your soul vacant till he purchased it. It starts with a nervous twitch. That's as far as I've gotten so far. But like, it goes nicely with the beat. And like, I mean, I could show the beat if you.
Yeah, go ahead and play it.
All right, here it is. It's called Come Alive. It's working. I can't hear the beat. Can you hear it?
Oh, I hear it now. I totally see how this plays into sorrow.
So since I can't hear it, should I just shut it off?
Go for it. I mean, it's just loop, right?
Yeah, it's just a loop, and so more work needs to be done to it.
Well, the beats that you use that you created that I use for the intros and outros, those are semi-looping also, and I absolutely love those. I think they might not be like these lyrical songs that everybody expects now. Like, most of them don't have.
Are you calling them old?
No, they're not lyric driven like most modern songs. Some of them have lyrics, but most of the lyrics are samples. And I love that you're creating something that essentially comes from nothing or comes from something with no value, and you're bringing all of these things with no value into something that is amazing. And especially without lyrics, it's your gentle touch on the world that brings value into these things. You're not putting lyrics on these sample beats and saying like, hey, look what I did. You're just making it and being like, and now that exists.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. And I think there's 11 tracks that are unreleased that I've done over the last couple of years.
2 of them are released now.
I guess so. If you guys are interested in hearing more, I can.
Well, we're going to upload them to your Spotify, so that all of the intro and outro beats for the podcast will eventually be on Spotify also.
And Apple Music. Yeah.
And Google and Google and everyone.
Yeah.
iHeartRadio, Pandora. Sorry.
So yeah, like, I mean, that's the problem, is that, you know, like since I used to be a rapper, like I'm just not hard, right? I'm not like, hey, yo, what up? Hey, yo, it's MattiBurns. You know, like I feel so fake. And it's like, you can't be fake when you're writing. You can't be fake when you're like making music.
Right.
Because like, this is a heart going out to another heart. And that's kind of what this is. Like, no, I'm not interested, especially now, this stage of my life. I'm not interested in like some label picking it up. I mean, it'd be cool if people listened to it on Spotify and it got it put into playlists and stuff. But like, this is like, I know exactly what I was doing and where I was when I made that beat. And I was writing those guitar licks. And I was writing about it. It's me quiet. Findings off my fingertips. Like, I'm trying to find like how I'm feeling as I'm playing this guitar, you know, like as I grip this guitar neck instrument, you know, like, and so I just love it. And I don't know, I feel like other songwriters, you know, you as an author, like that's what you're trying to connect to. You're trying to like say, yeah, man, like I have those days where it's just a sunny afternoon and you're just writing because it's quiet, you know, and you're trying to understand the sorrow that's inside of you and use an instrument to bring that out and wrestle with it.
Well, since the theme of the day is rehashing old episodes, I mean, we had a great conversation about essentially exactly this right before I left last week. That the recording also ended up not turning out. But that's what we were talking about, is putting your stamp on something. We talked about essentially like not letting yourself be painted into a corner by genre. RC kind of started the conversation by saying like, I want to create this music, but I don't know what it really even is. And I said this, you know, the same thing with writing. I started out trying to write genre fiction and write inside these outlines or these expectations and these tropes of other authors and other people. And then I realized like, well, it doesn't matter what title I put on it or what genre I pretend it is. Ultimately, it has to be what I want to create. And it has to be, like you said, my truth. And trying to make sure that in music and in writing and in artistry, that we're doing what we want for ourselves rather than doing what other people want us to do. That's how you create something really, really cool. Trying to be somebody else is ultimately you're just going to end up looking like them. And to be original,
a bad version of them. And, and that's already out there.
Right.
You know, like, there's something I recently watched. I can't remember off the top of my head. That was basically about this topic. Oh, it was a Billie Eilish documentary. I assume you didn't watch that.
No, I did not.
It's cool. I think you get to see the drama and of a young artist trying to like step into her own, trying to like.
I mean, the Britney Spears thing's going on right now too, and that's, very similar.
I was trying to watch that a couple weeks ago when it first came out. I mean, it was my era, so like I was just interested. I saw all that, but I would go on Hulu. I don't know if everybody was watching it and it just was like crashing, but I couldn't watch it. Yeah, it's real sad. And then I just moved on and watched something different.
It's whatever label company was trying to keep people from finding out the truth. Or her dad or whoever was the bad person of that story.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's sad.
Right. But what were you going to say about the Billie Eilish documentary?
Well, I just, a lot of artists, they tend to carry their emotions on their sleeve, like where they just feel everything, and everything is thrown through an emotional like megaphone, where it's like, ow, 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 oh my gosh, this hurts, leave me alone, and you're just bouncing off the walls. And that was kind of how she is. And she actually has like some real problems with like Tourette's and that kind of stuff. But I mean, you could look at it and say, oh man, she's mean, or like, that type of thing. Like, but she is just trying to communicate. And I think like when you avoid sorrow, bringing it all back, when you avoid sorrow, you lose the articulation. You lose how to communicate well with your feelings. Like
you lose what defines you.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. That's what I mean. So we are at 57:12.
Cool. I mean, this is it was an unintentional episode, which is fantastic because it's all from just how we feel and off the top of our heads.
Yeah.
And what you wrote in your journal. So I mean, it's fantastic that we can have these conversations, and this was the original intent of the episode, was we don't, or not of the episode, but of the podcast, is we just don't see people doing this. We don't see creatives and storytellers just like opening up the door into like, this is what we talk about or go through or think every day. It's behind the scenes of not what's going on in the business, but what's going on in our heads. Yeah.
And I think all the business talk it'd be like, oh, it's another business conversation.
Yeah.
And so like, this is this is the intention I've always had, like maybe it's a good thing about journaling and meditating. It's like, you get that idea or you get that thought, and it's like, oh, that came from outside of me, and you go to friends and you talk about it. And that's what we're doing. We're talking about it.
Time to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Thanks for listening to Weekly Sketchbook. Just a reminder, we don't make any money on this, so you guys hitting that follow button, reading our articles, or sharing with your friends makes a huge difference. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions, you can send those to Tyler@MattiBurns.com. That's TYLER at MattiBurns.com. The episodes are now in video also, so if you want to see what we look like and what we're doing in the studio space, go check us out over on YouTube, and you can also find those videos on our website. Again, MattiBurns.com.